addled with blood. Lately, German preferred to drink alone. He never was a man fixed on vanity or pride, but he personally valued his composure greatly. Since young, he knew he was the sole master of his own mind and body, and intended to reach its full potential. Lesser temptations did never attract him. He knew he could be better. He looked down at his hands, the right wrapped around the glass, half full and the other slowly opened, stretching his fingers, then clenched into a fist. He repeated this 2 more times. Maybe he was getting old after all. What was it? 53? Could it even be 60? It was not his body that had him wonder, certainly not his mind, which had always felt the same. Despite being a humble man, he was proud of his health. But lately he had noticed that a certain person always intruded in his thoughts. It was no delusion or loss of control. It was barely a bother. But to him it was. Never had a thought been so persistent, and for the first time he had not the slightest clue for a treatment. He reasoned that it was the heavy realization that had knocked him off balance. It had always been there after all. She had always been there. Only now he fully knew what she was to him, and he realized himself a fool. The good times were gone, long gone. He was older, and so was she. But she was still young. Compared to him, she had been just a girl when they first met. Now things were different, but there was still time. His thoughts were scattered by an aggressive sound from behind him. A chair slid along the floor so fast it produced an annoying screeching sound.
Sod off, you bloody dustbag. I don't know what you're on about, but I ought to shut you up for good.
It was George hollering. He recognized the voice, although never having heard it this angry. Not wanting him to do something stupid, and not wanting his old friend's place to be thrashed, he felt the need to intervene, abandoning his longing thoughts.
George!
He turned to see him standing up, having been responsible for the loud noise of the chair. He stared at another man that German recognized as another hunter. The target of George's ire, young Dura, looked apologetically back at him, while George was fully intent on ignoring the call. So German walked over.
George, what is it now?
We were just talking and... Dura started to explain, but was interrupted by George, slamming his hand on the table between them, causing everything on top it to jump.
You twat! Disrespecting me and then cowering to your master. I won't have it. George, calm down.
German sternly marked and moved to grab him by his shoulder. He barely managed to touch him before George spun around quicker than he thought capable of, his face red from anger.
You stay out of this. You know nothing about me. What's gotten into you?
Your eyes. George blinked and flew past towards the door. Having experienced doubtful thoughts just then, He was unsure of what it was he saw. It could be anything, but George's pupil had, in some places, started to collapse, no longer forming the perfect circle known as the iris.
What was that about?
He turned his attention to Jura.
He lashed out. I'm worried about him. He has been jumpy lately and not doing his work properly. So I just wanted to say it to him.
Were you perhaps talking about his incident?
No. We were just talking about work.
What about? German took the seat George had left while staring sternly into the eyes of Jura.
That he has hunted, like we all do, but that he always goes alone. And I mean, he does not tell any of us where he goes. He just hands in his marks and says it's done. But I know he does it because something is bothering him. I have asked before, but he just scoffed at me. Not anything like this.
German frustratedly put his hands to his face. A drawn-out, bothered exhale followed.
What has gotten into him? I did tell him. Careless boy. Don't be too harsh on him, Master German. The hunt is a privilege. It's all he has. What? What are you saying? Oh, I mean, it is an important duty for the people. I think he is upset because you might discharge him. I, along with many others, are proud to do what we do.
He smiled innocently about it, like he was oblivious to what the hunt truly meant. Maria came to mind. Mercy for the beasts. They did not know better. They were at a loss for their own selves. To him, there was no fate worse. But how many others saw it that way?
Don't let the hunt control you, you hear? No proper hunter becomes prey of the hunt itself. Like I fear George has become.
Without awaiting a response, he stood and left. The moon was close, and like he had suspected, George had left the hunter barracks, out on a hunt. He felt the runes on his blade. They always gave him a sense of strength and resolve, a thing known only to him, and that's how he liked it. But tonight, it was not enough. He knew not what the night had in store for him and George, but he intended to be prepared for the worst. His faithful burial blade that always soothed his fears and reminded him of his purpose was on this night not enough. If his nightmares were to come true, a whole different kind of beast would be slain tonight. A beast of his own making. On display in the workshop hung the twin blades he had carried since the beginning. They meant something more, and had only been wielded so far by the most pure. They instilled what he needed. He draped himself in his cape and donned his hat, grasped for the blades and went out to hunt, letting the image of the purest woman he knew strengthen his resolve. The church. Fools, telling the people how to think. Fear the old blood. He knew well why they wanted it to be feared. Greedy bastards. He, on the other hand, was capable of taking blood of his own, as much as he wanted. Only a proper hunt is a hunt soaked in blood. Blood of beasts. Once, he knew it to be wrong. George had been so remorseful at hunting and slaying those poor people. But it was out of mercy, like his master always told. He kicked away an empty bottle laying on the stones. It shattered somewhere. Perhaps some prey would hear it and come running. The hunts became easier though, seeing how they bled. These beasts deserved to bleed. The good citizens would want them to bleed if they knew the filth that walked among them. They were lucky not knowing. Or perhaps was he the lucky one? He got to hunt and spill blood. The blood. How was it now? Fear the old blood? He still knew what he was doing was wrong. But how could he resist? And who's to stop him? He was a hunter, and the beasts were to be put down. It was mercy. Mercy and blood.
Mercy and blood, you hear?
He shouted into the night. A light turned off inside a window. Must be one of those filthy, horrifying, puny beasts. They were afraid of him, the hunter. He made his way to the door.
Filthy vermin,
he muttered to himself while he scouted the facade.
I'll spill your blood, every last drop. There will be nothing left but an empty skin.
He could not wait. Damned be the discretions. There was a beast inside and he would kick through the door to spill its blood. What are you doing here, George? A familiar and commanding voice came from behind him. In the middle of the street stood the grim figure of his master, lacking his hunter armament.
There are beasts inside here. Don't you hear?
George walked closer, twitching from the stress that the absence of blood brought.
What? Are you to stop me?
George, there are no beasts in there.
What is wrong with you? Of course there are. Packed with the sodding bastards there are.
Lower your voice, George. people are sleeping.
In a town infested by beasts? Why are you trying to stop me? Let's go in there and spill some blood. It's what you want to do. It's what you do every day. After all, it is the best feeling there is.
He turned away from German to resume his intentions with the door. Do you remember what I always say? He stopped, flashing a smile. Of course he did. How could he forget? Yet his mind was blank. His grin vanished. Did he not just think of it? The blood. Surely he remembered, after all this time. But what was it? He nervously started. He turned his head around back to him, feeling only fury roil up inside, which was surely noted. George, you won't go in there. His anticipation was boiling over. He could not control it. He was meant for the hunt. The beasts must all die. How could German be this way? The beasts must die and their blood must flow. He turned fully and instantly lashed out at German, holding up his scythe. George! He was remorseful still, but the hunt was the only thing on his mind. He would like to stop, but then what would he be without the blood? He was committed and intended on silencing this monster who refused him the hunt. But then German was gone. A sound of flesh and clothes being sliced was heard, followed by a sting in his left side. He jumped away from the looming figure that had appeared by his side, 2 glistening blades in each hand. He took out a standard blood vial, issued to every hunter, and jammed it into his side. Instantly he felt renewed, no more pain. He paced, waited for German to strike next. In the dark he saw only the silhouette of the flowing cape, face dark under the top hat's brim, and the 2 blades held at his sides. He could not wait for German's move. He needed to finish it. He folded out the scythe and swung from above. As the blade was about to hit, he swung through smoke. The blade impacted with the stone ground, and right in front of him appeared German, rematerializing from the cloud. He could not react, the scythe remaining on the ground between German's legs, and 2 blades piercing his stomach. A quick sting. A second was all he needed to react, but the pain gripped him tight in that second. The blades left him and sliced his throat. Blood rushed up from his mouth, and German was gone. He fell backwards into his master's arm. The blood flowing from him soothed the pain. German laid him gently on the stone. He could look up into the sky at the moon, so close. Things started to blur and the pain faded. Before he shut his eyes, he heard his master. Be freed from these mysterious nights, my brave hunter. Beast Hunter Scythe. a trick weapon used by the old hunters. A second blade is found inside the curve of the main one. In its initial form, the scythe can be wielded like a long, curved sword, but when transformed, its blade is contracted, allowing for quick, repeated stabs. Although this trick weapon allows for adaptive combat, it was later replaced by saws and similar weapons that were more effective at disposing of beasts.